minute, somebody is like, they hear pretty fast their music background and shit.
Yeah. Alright. Welcome back, everybody, to more XCOM 2 War of the Chosen Unit Discourse and Showcase. I'm Savage Hound Dusk, and hopefully this time his audio is actually going to be coming in. I'm about to pull up my stream here real quick just so I can actually hear it. Troy, go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
I'm Troy with like 10 million billion fucking hours in XCOM.
This guy is such a masochist. He thinks that the hardest difficulty is the only way to play it.
Actually, no. I've acknowledged that the lower difficulties are fun, and there's many more ways to play it than just one.
Yeah,
there's strategies that work on lower difficulties that don't work on the higher one, but the highest difficulty isn't always fun. It's just that I like the challenge personally.
I don't like the fact that
Troy and I had some discussions about that a while back.
We've done it before.
Okay, so last time we discussed the Ranger and the Specialist predominantly in exactly the ins and outs of both these classes, their potential, their skills, what we both think on them, and how best to potentially use them.
We had more to go
on. Today, we are going to talk about the Sharpshooter, which is my favorite class. I am going to take the Dark Lance off of him, because the Dark Lance is a War of the Chosen specific item, and I'm going to equip him with a standard Plasma Lance, so that we can talk about that without necessarily seeing too many DLC weapons. The Powered Shadow Keeper is basically the plasma version of the flintlock modeled pistol that you get for the Alien Rulers DLC. If anybody's wondering what it does, it has the exact same damage output as a beam pistol, and as it is upgraded, it starts out with the same damage output as the Magnum. It carries the same damage output with upgrades as its successive tiers of pistols. The big difference is that this pistol has 10% more aim, 15% more critical hit chance, and it also has Shadow Fall. So if it performs a pistol, what it does is they perform a pistol shot that's guaranteed to hit. If you kill the target that's hit by that, the Sharpshooter automatically goes into concealment. It is a nifty... Yeah, it's a very nifty gun, and it's especially useful if you're trying to get an ambush on Rulers after your squad has already been at least partially exposed. And to talk about what I like to put on sniper rifles as far as weapon attachments, and this is not to tell you that these are the only attachments you have to use. This is not to say this is the only attachments you have to use. No. You can use whatever you want. What I like to use the most is a superior expanded magazine, because when you get a sniper that has serial, particularly when they have an advanced weapon, they can kill almost any enemy in the game and rarely ever need that enemy to get particularly weak in order to be able to hit them.
Shooters. Last thing you'll never see.
Scopes I typically ignore for this class of weapon, just because sharpshooters tend to have such high accuracy in general. I feel like you rarely need them. There are circumstances where a scope is very helpful, though. If you cannot get a sharpshooter into high ground, such as in some of the sewer missions that were added into War of the Chosen and a few other areas, then scopes are absolutely ideal to put on, because they're not going to get that aim bonus that they get from high ground, because high ground is extremely difficult to get. And if you want to take a sharpshooter into a sewer area, then you probably want them to have a plasma lance with a scope.
I'd like to add something else.
By all means.
On pretty much any difficulty, up until you get magnetic weapons, a sniper on average will probably never attack more than 4 times in a mission. And one of those attacks being the grenade throw included. And the scopes get a duplicated benefit from high ground. So scopes that normally give like 5 aim, you'll get double that benefit from having high ground. So this superior scope that gives you 20, you get 40 from high ground.
Yes. That's kind of why I say scopes are actually a really good item to take on some missions where you can't really get them high ground. High ground usually gives them the edge that they need. Sometimes it might not. Some enemies actually have enough dodge that can be a pain in the ass, and you need some extra aim to help subvert that. Scopes are a great way to do that, particularly on higher difficulties. I almost never put a stock on sniper rifles. It's not that there's no reason to do it. There's absolutely cases for it. The reason why I almost never do it is because I very rarely ever miss a shot with a rifle. Typically, if I'm going to be taking a shot with their rifle, I have put them in such a position as to make it very difficult for them to miss the target. There are still instances where they can, and in those instances it would absolutely be to your benefit to, of course, if that's going to be something that happens to you, equip a stock on the gun.
Alistair.
It's never bad to have one of these. Yes?
As one of your audience members, what reasons would you put a stock on a rifle? A sniper rifle?
In a lot of cases, it's for the same reason that you would put a stock on any other gun. And that's why I say stocks are never a bad thing to have. Missed shots still deal damage to the target. The higher quality the stock, the better this gets. Stocks initially only allow you to deal 1 point of damage. As they get upgraded, they go to 2, 3, 4 points of damage. That is an insane amount of damage. Even in late game when enemies have like 16, 18, 20 health, 4 damage, that can add up. And it's at the very least, even if you miss the shot, you still get value out of the shot. Stocks are, in my opinion, they're an item that I think a lot of people sleep on. Myself included for quite a while until playing this game and especially talking with you about them. I feel like people just really sleep on this because they're like, I missed the shot, I'm not going to do full damage. What the fuck am I going to do with 4 damage when I could have done 9 to 11? Well, what you're going to fucking do is you're going to have 4 damage on the target, as opposed to no damage on the target.
Oh my god, wait, they buffed the stocks. I was confused why you kept saying 4. It used to be 3. I guess the War of the Chosen made it do more damage.
I think War of the Chosen does increase the damage a little bit. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't increase it by that much, but it does a little bit.
Sorry to interrupt you, but can I ask you what should I put in my first cleared room?
I would say that the Guerrilla Tactics facility, you can never go wrong with that. Like your first 3 rooms being like Guerrilla Tactics, Power, and Comm.
Yeah, what I typically do is not that different from what Troy does. The first rooms that I clear out that I want to immediately put to use: Guerrilla Tactics School, Resistance Communications, Power Relay. If you're going to put a power relay in, try to put it in a room that had an exposed conduit before the conduit got shielded, or after the conduit got shielded. Because power relays give a huge boost to energy output when they have that.
Geez, I have 2 exposed power coils on the 3rd floor.
You got fucking
Oh,
RNG.
yeah, that's lucky.
Jesus.
Hey,
Wait.
yeah, that's fucking awesome. Hey, Fox, you got a good layout.
He did? Because,
Yeah,
the 3rd floor is way down here, Troy.
I know, but you get to the 2nd floor rather quickly, and like most of the time, the fucking power coil, like one of them is on the 4th floor. You got 2 of them on the 3rd floor.
You will
That's
pretty much always want to be using at least one engineer to consistently clear out rooms until you have cleared most of them. I would say clearing down to the 3rd floor without stopping completely is almost mandatory. And then the last floor you want to clear out, but it is kind of within reason to just chill the hell out a little bit on that. What?
Bunch of the weapons are complete.
And you can build. You don't have to build.
Coordinates we discovered
you can
encoded
do it,
on the
but,
genetic
like,
sample recovered from the Advent Black site.
They made the
Imply
math
we may have
work
only
out.
scratched the
Like,
surface of
if
the
you just
alien's
had 2
infrastructure
regular
as it
power
relates
relays
to this Avatar project.
or
We were fortunate to recover the
like,
genetic
not on
sample
it.
when we did. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it would
our path
work out.
may have
They-
very well ended.
you don't have
Um,
stress.
Yeah, but that
Alien debris.
is like your first 3 structures that you really, really want. Guerrilla Tactics School, arguably the thing you build first. Power Relay, possibly the thing you build last. Resistance Comms should either be the first or second thing you put together, because your Resistance Comms is almost as critical as your Guerrilla Tactics.
I do not have access to Guerrilla Comms just yet.
Okay, if you don't have access to Guerrilla Tactics, then building a Resistance
no,
Comms right away would...
Oh no, the Tactics School I have. I do not have access to the comms yet.
Okay, then do the Guerrilla Tactics School instead.
Alright, I also just cleared my second room. What should I put in there?
You do not
A
have
relay.
to... You do not have to fill that right away, but the comm array would probably be what I would put in there when you...
I don't have that either. Training center, laboratory, workshop, power relay, and infirmary.
I'd do the power relay because, like, you literally run out of power. Like, your first 3 buildings are.
I
like,
didn't have to do that until I got to my power coils, but I mean, yeah, I guess it's a good way to be safe with it, because you could staff an engineer in there to get extra power if you end up having a spare engineer.
Oh, I wanted to talk about the.
I'm not hurting for power just yet.
Yeah, go ahead with the stocks, Troy.
The stocks are something that is a team attachment, not a.
Yes, that is something that I forgot to mention. Go ahead.
It's an ambush-orientated item, because even though you can have high aim, because when you even though you can have high aim when you take normal shots with your rifle, like aimed shots, you fire on your turn. That scope is great for that, but when you take an Overwatch shot, you get a significant aim penalty, which, again, the scope is still good. But when you have a stock on each of your 6 soldiers, that means no matter what, the minimum damage, even if all of your soldiers miss, that you will deal is, 6, 12...
6 damage,
18, 24
damage, 18 damage, 24 damage.
Yeah, the minimum that you will deal with all 6 soldiers with Overwatch shots when the enemies walk into you is 24. That's the bare minimum. You can't do less.
I'll be right back
Even if
while
you
he discusses this.
Yep.
Or in the case of one of my old specialists, they did 45 damage.
Fuck yeah.
Although that was due to a different weapon mod.
Was it that suppressor that instant kills?
Was it the suppressor? That was like the auto trigger thing.
Do you mean 45 damage all in one hit, or you mean like multiple shots that they fired?
As in, they fired on a sectopod and killed it in one shot with the basic ass assault rifle, because of the weapon add-on that gives them a percentage chance to insta kill.
Oh yes.
It procced at the single best time.
Yes, that's fucking brilliant, Fox. And when you have the stock plus the instant kill chance, you always roll for that instant kill no matter what. That's fucking brilliant.
Indeedly doodly.
That's what made me start using the damn instant kill chance. Is exactly that happened to me.
But maybe a training center, laboratory, or work. Maybe an infirmary. That'll probably be useful going forward.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Just please put mine in when you're done. No. Put it in for another 10, but yes, mine will be 35. Sorry. Alright, how are we?
That's it. I just covered that.
Okay, yeah.
The biggest damage.
But yeah, Troy's right. The biggest benefit to stocks is you want to try to equip these to many different weapons, so that when the entire if you're somebody who relies on Overwatch ambushes a lot, which you probably will to some extent, at least in the early to mid game, maybe even the late game.
Even when you're just doing regular shots, the fact that you can't do less, meaning, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Expanded magazines Excuse me, I'm sorry.
There's more research done.
I was enjoying my treat. Oh.
Badass. I'm a
Expanded
fat
magazines.
ass. Don't worry.
And I should probably get the
Expanded
resistance comms
magazines
research
are-
out of the way.
Stocks and expanded magazines are another one of those another one of those tools. A lot of weapons really want this. The reason why a lot of weapons want expanded magazines on a lot of unit types is because expanded magazines minimize the need to reload. And in some instances, in a lot of missions, they can completely remove it altogether. Sharpshooters, he's right. The higher the difficulty you go, the more you have to really care about your attacks and whatnot and things like that. Sharpshooters who have a superior expanded magazine, that's +4 to your fucking ammo reserves. That gives them 7 shots to execute before needing a reload. You'll probably never end up fighting 7 enemies at the same time unless you're dealing with missions involving the Lost and War of the Chosen. If you are, you don't need Serial to kill that many of them. The biggest thing about expanded magazines that's kind of arguable with a sharpshooter is that until they get Serial or Killzone, they don't really need a magazine that massive until enemies start becoming a little bit more bullet spongy around the mid-tier of the game. Even then, their Gauss rifles and their plasma lances hit so damn hard. It's like, there are enemies that tank these shots, don't get me wrong. Sectopods can tank a sniper shot, but they don't tank it nearly as well as you'd think, especially after the armor gets shredded. In particular, if you put blue screen ammo on a sharpshooter and then have them shoot a mechanized enemy, Advent regular mechs, when combined blue screen ammo with a plasma lance, the light mech is dead. The heavy mech is crippled or straight up dead. The sectopod, it might not die, but it's going to take massive damage from that. And I mean massive damage. Sectopods will not tolerate plasma lance fire with blue screen ammo very well. And if they do, they don't tolerate it well for very long. But expanded magazines are wonderful tools to have on a lot of different guns. The other class I would argue that fights over this the most for value is a Grenadier. And that is because Grenadiers have 2 skills that are incredibly good skills. One is Hail of Bullets. You exhaust 3 units of ammo in a magazine, but it guarantees you damage an enemy. It removes the chance for critical hit. I'm sorry?
What's up?
What upgrade should I slap on a heavy gunner, or
For a Grenadier, my favorite triumvirate of attachments is stock, scope, expanded magazine. The expanded magazine, depending on how you use that class, almost kind of has to be there.
Speaking of which, since this particular heavy machine gun is now a heavy bolter, what should I call it? If a certain
But that's just kind of what
I could ask him directly.
How about you send a message into the fucking chat and ask, and maybe he'll answer.
Oh yeah.
Come on, brother. You got.
Could you give me a link
That
to your
sounds fun,
live?
though.
Oh, you want me to link you to the live stream, Troy?
Yeah. I'll probably mute it so I don't double over, but
Okay.
that way you have more viewers.
I appreciate that. Thank you. That's kind of what I've got. I've got it pulled up so I can keep an eye on chat whilst also not looking too much into other shit. And I've muted it so that I don't have my voice doubling over and over and over. Okay, so magazines, though, are extremely good on late-game snipers who are probably going to be taking more shots, especially if you're laying out Overwatch ambushes, or you want to use kill zone to create a killing corridor so that enemies can't move without a sniper rifle being a major danger to their movements. Even with Overwatch penalties, snipers tend to be fairly accurate, especially with high ground, and that's one thing about sharpshooters that I think a lot of people try to use against them as a class. They really, 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 really love being on high ground.
They have higher aim than most other units.
Yes, they also have a higher aim chance, though, than most other units. So combining that with high ground very frequently allows them to be able to demolish people very easily. In terms of personal combat sims, there's not really that much that they want. Extra aim and extra mobility is really the only two that I could think that would help them. Aim for when they're shooting targets, which should be most of the time, and mobility for when they need to catch up to everybody else, because they will probably be abusing squad sight.
Shen managed to pull a set of encoded coordinates
that
from
squad
the file
sight
we
penalty
recovered
is,
at the area black site.
vile.
Looks like
It
we're
can
headed
be
towards
after a
another
point,
as
yes.
of yet unidentified facility.
Now, I'm going to
There are a
talk
bunch
very
of theories
briefly about the
floating around as to
Darklance
what
here,
we'll
because the
find.
Darklance
But at
matters.
this point, I'm not ready to commit to anything
This is
until
a
I see
one
for
and done
myself.
item, a bit like the pistol that I had here. Now, the reason why the Darklance matters, first of all, you'll notice it has a shitload of bonuses on it. It has 4 free reloads a mission. It has a stock built into it, so even if it misses, it still deals damage. It has a bonus action chance of 20%, so 1 in every 5 times I pull that trigger with that gun, it is not going to consume an action. One of the things that I don't think the game tells you about this particular weapon, and I could be wrong, we're about to find the tactical info here. Yep. Unlike most sniper rifles, the Darklance only requires 1 action to fire. That's one of the big secrets. Normally, a sharpshooter that moves cannot open fire after it does. Anybody who remembers XCOM Enemy Unknown /Within, the snipers in that game that could use a move called Snapshot, which basically cost them a minus 20 penalty to aim and 10 to crit chance, but allowed them to be able to fire after moving. I pretty much never took Snapshot, and there's a reason for that. The pistol upgrade skills that they get and the upgrades that they get to pistols, especially in Enemy Within, basically make it so they never need to ever have to rely on Snapshot. And Snapshot in Enemy Unknown /Within, particularly on higher difficulties I noticed, makes your ability to aim very unreliable. Pistols suck. Pistols suck initially, kind of as a rule in these games. This weapon also has a superior scope built into it for a plus 20% aim chance. Darklance basically allows you to be able to move and fire a sniper rifle without needing to be able to be stuck in one position for forever and a day. It also has free reloads, so despite the fact that it has a 3-round magazine, if you have serial, you can keep shooting until the cows come home. This weapon is what you get for killing the Chosen Hunter. There is another pistol that you can pick up as well. I don't know if it's going to be displayed here in the secondary weapons.
Unfortunately for our friend Mr. Spartan, for whatever reason, the Noble Team voice pack is not compatible with the.
Where's the other sharpshooter
Or
that I
the-
had? Yeah, there it is. The Dark Claw. The Dark
Noble
Claw.
Team voice.
Sorry.
Unfortunately, the Noble Team voice pack is not compatible with War of the Chosen, and is not showing up in my list of available voices.
Okay. That kind of sucks.
I am now having him. So instead, I'm having him voiced by Grayson from Bulletstorm.
Oh, he'll enjoy that. The Dark Claw is basically the most powerful pistol in the game. Troy, you might notice this pistol does slightly more damage than the other pistols. It deals 5 to 8 instead of 4 to 7. This pistol ignores the first 5 points of armor on an enemy as well, by the way. It also deals an additional +2 critical damage, which it does actually match this particular pistol for crit damage. The Dark Claw and the Dark Lance are the 2 weapons you get when you kill the Hunter Chosen. After you research them, you can equip one of these weapons to, or both, you can put both on one of your sharpshooters. I don't put it both on them because I like the Powered Shadow Keeper's crit chance a little bit more on my best sniper.
Alternatively, I could have be voiced by one of the ODST boys.
If you're going to do that, have him voiced by Dutch. He'll love it. Although, Doc is...
Mr. Nathan Fillion?
No, that's Buck.
Buck, right. Where the hell is... There's no Buck voice. What the hell?
Anyway, I like the bonus crit chance on the Shadow Keeper, and the Shadow Keeper is also a good pistol because Shadowfall is a really good one. But you can put both of them on a sharpshooter if you want. They are a factor. The reason why I don't discuss them as a rule is because this is equipment that you have to earn way later. It is equipment that is entirely missable if you play the game wrong. And it is equipment that you can permanently lose if the sniper holding it is killed and you do not recover the corpse. Which, I don't think you can recover a dead body in this game. But, point being, if you're going to equip these weapons to somebody, this weapon, that weapon, the Dark Claw, don't fucking lose the unit that's got them. They're very powerful tools. They make snipers even better, but they do have their downsides. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the soldier's abilities, and let's also go over why I feel like a lot of people think that this class is one of the worst classes in the game and why they're all idiots for it. First of all, this class requires a little bit of setup in every mission that it goes into in order to hit its ideal level of power. What setup do you need? What setup could you possibly be talking about? High ground, that's really it. High ground and squad sight, and snipers are automatically a major threat. Almost every mission in the game has high ground for them to be able to work with. Not everyone does, but most of them do. And these are actually a really good class. Now, there's a lot of abilities in their tree that you can see here that are oriented pretty much exclusively around their pistols. If you want to turn these guys into gunslingers from the Old West, that's your fucking prerogative, yo, but you're missing out on the point of a sharpshooter. And there are some skills that they get that I will take over, one skill that I will take over their sniping skill modifiers. And that's because Lightning Hands is literally a free, I am going to pop and drop a motherfucker. The reason why, or I'm going to pop a motherfucker with this handgun. And it costs them nothing to do it. It's free damage if it works. It's nothing that's important if it fails. And it's just a nifty little extra, option to have to throw at the enemy once every 5 turns. Deadeye is a skill that I typically ignore because it has an aim penalty to it. Aim is damn near everything to a sharpshooter. Deadeye absolutely has several cases, though. It has a significant damage boost. If you have an aim bonus on a weapon, such as, the advanced scope on this thing, or the superior scope that's on this thing built into it, and high ground, and the fact that this guy literally has base 95 aim plus 30, that aim penalty might not actually mean shit. And is probably negligible at that point. Because, 25%, it's completely eliminated by the bonuses that he receives.
Deadeye.
With that gun. Yeah, from Deadeye. And
no, I meant Deadeye is really good for being able to kill things like Archons and shit in one bullet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get at, was there's absolutely cases to take this. It's very good if you have the right ways to mitigate or eliminate this aim bonus, because 50% more damage on a fucking rifle, that will one-shot almost anything. There are enemies that it won't kill, but particularly if you combine that with blue screen ammo, shoot a sectopod with that, and then watch their health bar turn into almost nothing. It's kind of dumb. But Deadeye is a good skill. It's not bad. I use Lightning Hands just because around the time your sharpshooter is as a sergeant, they're still trying to get situated as a unit. They haven't really acquired a lot of the abilities that makes them exceedingly fucking murder hobo yet. But they have enough to be dangerous. This just helps me get out of what if I fucked up, or, you know, what if I need a little bit of extra oomph to my firepower, even if it's not that much. Because pistols do not do that much damage in this game. They're not that good in XCOM Enemy Unknown / Within, at least initially. In Enemy Within, they can actually get incredibly stupid. Pistols actually get retarded powerful in Enemy Within, and we'll get into that when I inevitably do that Let's Play. Because I want Troy to be along with me, because he's never seen that game, and I want to show it to him. The first two skills that you have to choose between are Return Fire and Long Watch. I pretty much always take Long Watch, absolutely every fucking time. Long Watch, basically, the squad sight ability they get as a squaddie, this allows them to use squad sight for Overwatch shots. Why is that a good thing? It means they can get high ground, get aim bonuses, get themselves in a deadly position that makes them absolutely peek fuck you in the face with a sniper rifle, and use that from long range to still cover the squad when they're nowhere near them. That's really valuable to have. Even with the aim penalties that are imposed upon a Overwatch shot, this is valuable, because it means that enemies are going to run usually about a 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30 chance, depending on their ultimate proximity to the squad and the sniper and how far away they are from the squad, of did I just die, or did I just take a hit so bad that I'm about to die? So Long Watch is an extremely useful skill. Return Fire is not a bad skill either. The problem with Return Fire, and I'm sure Troy will agree with this to an extent, but I also know he's probably going to be able to have a better reason for Return Fire than I initially did. The big problem with Return Fire is that if your sharpshooter is getting shot at to the point that you need this skill, you are probably not using your sharpshooter correctly. They should not get fired at that much in a mission if you're playing them correctly, because they're almost always going to be at the rear formation. Go ahead, Troy.
That's it. It's one of those perks that you can buy it early, but its effect isn't really seen until late game, because you need the Gremlins defense or things like smoke grenades, which also, you know, that honestly can be very good. You can return a lot of fire.
Yeah, like, I'm not saying that it's useless.
Yeah, he got into a situation where he had to hunker down with a sniper, and he used aid protocol, but it was more of a mistake. So
it was absolutely a mistake. It was absolutely a mistake. I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't.
I could do with your input on something.
What you got?
I am having trouble deciding on what voice to give my character. I'm torn between a few choices.
Give me the options.
Handsome Jack, Lo Wang, Deadpool, John F. Kennedy from Black Ops.
Oh my god, that voice is... I am remembering the time that I spent of my childhood playing Black Ops with my cousin Derek, and oh my god, I love JFK and that so much.
Or Robert Robertson III from Dispatch.
I'm biased towards Deadpool, personally.
All right, Mr. Troy, would you like to have some input?
I agree with him. Deadpool is pretty damn good. You know. Also, I have some ice.
All right, Deadpool. Which means the by-the-book personality is not going to fly.
No. Go for exciting. You know, you install all of those mods. Fuck. I would say, you know what? Enjoy it. Go hard with that.
Damn right. Yeah, like go whole hog and do crazy stupid
all of
shit.
That shit just to not use it. No.
Happy-go-lucky style seems more
You're not here to
Deadpool
play XCOM 2 to sweat, and that's okay. Not everybody who plays this game has to, or should have to. You're here to have a good fucking time, and you know what? Let your goddamn choices in gameplay reflect that.
That's what I do.
Fun.
Yeah. Now, return fire, like, as Troy put it, I made a bad mistake when my sniper got in that position. The other reason why return fire is not a very good ability, the sniper does not fire back with their rifle, they fire back with their pistol. Pistols are one of the weakest weapons, before you go on, Fox, in the entire game for raw damage. Early game, you're not really going to be doing that much, and you might do some damage, and that's value. And all return fire has to do is give damage to give value. Here's the problem: Long Watch will probably give you better value when Long Watch works, and Long Watch is also very indicative of how you are supposed to be using your sharpshooters, because if you are using this a lot, then they're not sniping with this. If they're not using their rifle a lot, what the actual fucking hell are you doing even employing them in the battlefield? That's kind of my question.
If you're taking fire, it's easier to return fire with a pistol than it is with a sniper rifle.
It absolutely is, don't get me wrong. But this is not a class that should be getting shot at all that often. It absolutely can and does happen. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm not saying it can't, and I'm not saying it won't. In most situations where you are actually moving correctly with your troops, this is the class that should see the least amount of bullets or plasma or whatever it is flying over his head.
This is true.
And that is because this class should not necessarily be that close to the gunfire. Go ahead, Troy.
I was going to say, sharpshooters' strength, if you want to use them early game while you still have ballistic weaponry, their most supreme strength that I can say with definite proof comes from the fact that they can get their magnetic pistols very early, and the cost of alien alloys is very small. You don't have to sacrifice getting your Ranger's shotgun or your Grenadiers.
What
is it?
Their
Gauss rifle.
Their mag cannons.
Yeah,
and that is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. That is especially true in War of the Chosen, where a lot of weapons have drastically seen their costs reduced because 3 new classes got added into the game, and each one of them has their own unique primary firearm that you have to research upgrades for.
Yeah, I was gonna say you want to abuse special ammo with the gunslinger. The gunslinger is really skilled at one versus the world, and also spamming special ammo. Like the fact that they go for number of hits and special ammo tends to give you straight up flat damage increase. Things like dragon ammo, venom ammo, blue screen protocol, or like spreading venom to every single opponent, which is the face-off ability.
And that's also what Fanfire is good at too, because Fanfire basically does that on one target. Fanfire is really good for focusing down damage.
Yeah, goodbye to Sectopod if you ever use that on them.
Yeah, like combine blue screen ammo with a decent pistol, and then Fanfire on a Sectopod, that Sectopod is about to eat shit. Quick Draw is also really good because Quick Draw literally allows you to shoot with your first action with that handgun and then immediately move. It will no longer end your turn to just fire your pistol. So it's a nice, safe move to have to be able to just shoot and get the fuck out of dodge if you need to. Lightning Hands is just a good extra shoot a motherfucker and you're done. Death from Above, though, is a skill that I will very typically take as well. I pretty much always take Death from Above over Quick Draw. It's never bad to build a gunslinger if you really want to, because it means your sniper is only going to ever use that rifle when they absolutely have to or need to use it. And it means that this particular set of abilities allows the sharpshooter to stay with the squad, move with the squad as a cohesive part of the unit, and they can put a lot of punishment down on a lot of different enemy types very quickly. As Troy put it, if you're gonna do that, though, because pistols do so little damage, stack ammo types onto the weapon. Dragonfire rounds for damage, venom rounds for poison, blue screen ammo to fuck up mech units. Do not just use ordinary ammunition with a gunslinger, because the overall damage of pistol shots is always going to be a little low. That kind of gets offset by the Dark Claw when you inevitably get the Dark Claw in War of the Chosen, but that's War of the Chosen. In vanilla XCOM 2, the Shadow Keeper is the most powerful pistol you will get, and that's only if you're doing the Alien Rulers DLC. Which a lot of people absolutely fucking despise, and don't get me wrong, everybody, I absolutely understand why you do. I want to make a video at some point later down the road where I show off some hints, tips, and tricks on how to kill the Alien Rulers with less suffering in your ballsack. Less abuse of your titties. Don't worry. I have actually figured out some clinical ways to deal with them. Troy's assistants actually help really show that off. But Quick Draw can be a lovely little skill to help you, pop a motherfucker.
I'm sorry.
And regret that.
I just laughed because the dumbest, craziest, weirdest shit ever just happened. I just got a bug with my Ranger where I threw the Mimic Decoy Beacon, and I stood next to it with Bladestorm because I knew the Advent Stun Lancer was going to run at it.
Right.
And oh my god, the Mimic Decoy Beacon Bladestormed the Advent Stun Lancer and killed him.
Oh my fucking god!
He got killed.
Oh. So, now my trooper's now decked out in full Cadian gear.
That's incredibly fucking stupid.
So congrats, Deadpool is now a Cadian.
That is absolutely hysterical.
That's wonderful.
Woe to the enemies of mankind, for they are about to be annoyed into submission.
Hey look, there's a Comfort Inn, now pet friendly, except for bears. We're not making that mistake again. Anyway, now that I've made that joke.
Brilliant. Oh, jeez.
Face Off is a really good skill, again, for piling on status ailments and spreading them amongst enemy pods. It's because you fire at every enemy that's visible with a handgun. The pistol is fairly accurate in this game. It's rare that it will miss a shitload of shots. It really is. It can, but if you're doing good positioning and you're playing smart with your gunslinger, it's not the worst thing in the world to do.
You get a massive aim bonus.
Oh,
yeah, you do. You can get retarded ass aim bonuses from that shit.
Mitch, random question.
What?
I'm doing the first rendezvous mission with the Reapers, and I'm being given 2 different squads?
Yeah, each one of the rendezvousees that you will be escorting, I'm gonna say with air quotes, the rendezvousees are, hostile towards each other. Your escort is there to make sure that they know who to not stab in the face. Just send 2 units. It doesn't matter if they're elite or not, or if they have experience already or not. You'll be fine. It's
okay, so
that mission is not hard.
Okay, so I should probably take this opportunity to
I would recommend use it to train some rookies.
That was my plan.
Yeah. That's a very good mission for training rookies. Kill zone is one of my favorite skills, though, because you literally, like, especially if you're doing Overwatch ambushes, kill zone basically allows you to take an entire column and go, any one of you dumbasses that moves, if I don't like you, I am going to shoot you. It's basically Overwatch narrowed to a cone. Every enemy that moves in that area is getting shot at. It's not guaranteed to hit them, but every enemy that moves in that area is getting shot at. And typically, when you position yourself right in that, you're killing most of the enemies that are going to be in the way. It's a really good thing to also use even when you're in open combat to force your enemies to lock down and not move, because some enemies will not move while kill zone is active. And even though they don't, it doesn't waste it. It just means they can't move, and you can take advantage of that. The next ability here is aim. Hunker down now confers plus 20 aim to the first shot on the following turn. This is very useful for keeping your soldier alive with hunker down, whilst also bolstering their chances to blow someone's head off when they are able to return fire. This can be useful in a stupidly wide variety of situations. Unfortunately, almost all of them involve making mistakes, because you shouldn't be using your sharpshooter as a bullet sponge.
Alistair, that ability right there, I would say that the hunker down giving you the aim bonus is when you're trying to set up a better ambush, and also all of the turns in between when you're not taking shots. It's for when you're not spamming long watch with your sniper and you're instead taking aim shots only.
I did say most of the uses for this. Some of the best uses for it. The reason why I say most of these uses is because a lot of people will probably want to perform the aim protocol strat. You should only be doing the aim protocol defense strat like that if you are basically going full gunslinger. And again, in which case, you're not playing the sharpshooter wrong because you built them along their handgun. In cases where you want to set up... Give me a second here, Triple Fox. I want to get this out. The best uses for this: Overwatch ambushes, the potential to enhance a long watch, or in any instance where you are not immediately opening fire. This is good to have because you can just hunker down, and it will make it easier for you to blow someone's head off in the next round, if it's necessary.
Not only that, but like that's something that you can push your aim even closer to 100.
Yes.
And when you can do that, you can like turn dodge off. No more dodge craze bullshit anymore.
Yeah. What were you gonna ask, Fox?
What kind of armor do you want your character clapped in?
Oh, give me the full N7 outfit.
I do not have that. Sorry.
Ah, damn it. What do you have?
I got all of the standard equipment that comes with the game. Some additional stuff that I think came from the DLCs. You know, like the anarchic stuff, the alien-looking tech. I've also got Spartan helmet.
I just figured out what I want.
I've got Spartan helmets, Space Marine helmets, and Cadian kit.
Particularly if my character is going to be a Psi operator. If you have the Alien Rulers DLC, I want the Viper King's armor that you get for killing that asshole. I love that.
But what do you want right now? Because I am still very early on in the game.
I will work with Mjolnir armor, particularly if there is a recon variant.
Let's see, reach.
Okay, steady hands.
Gungnir, military police.
Steady hands is what I like to use over what?
What helmet do you want?
A standard Spartan helmet will do just fine.
Mjolnir Mark 5, Mark 6.
6.
What color visor? Regular, gold, blue, or black?
Blue.
Bloop.
Steady Hands is one of the best abilities to me to a sniper. If you did not move last turn, gain plus 10 aim and plus 10 crit chance. This is an extremely useful skill for abusing squad sight and long watch, because your sniper, particularly in protracted fights or in instances where you're trying to take on an alien facility, you might have to engage and take down a lot of enemies with high ground and firing from the rear in order to maximize your sniper's value. This makes them even more dangerous, because the longer they don't move, the harder it is for the enemy to avoid getting shot in the face, and the more likely they are to get crit in the process.
Do you want any patterns on your armor?
No, thank you.
Guessing you wanted a nice black and dark grayish stuff.
Black, navy blue, like a really nice dark blue, has actually kind of been my favorite color scheme. Black and dark blue in this game, because it actually, oh my god, it looks incredibly good.
Navy colors.
You want black as the primary or secondary?
Secondary.
So navy blue primary, black secondary.
Yes. Fanfire. Okay. Fanfire, I talked about it a little bit earlier. This is what you use when you want something to fucking die. You use Fanfire to just target an enemy and get rid of it. Now, we mentioned use this with blue screen ammo on a sectopod and it's fucking toast. That's not an exaggeration. Doubling the pistol damage for 3 consecutive shots against a sectopod, especially if you've stripped it of its armor, will probably kill it instantly. I'm not kidding.
You don't even need to strip the fucking armor. It's dead.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even need to take the armor off, honestly.
The number of free shots that a full leveled up gunslinger has is insane.
Yeah.
You lightning hand, fire 1 bullet, quick draw fire, another bullet, fan fire, 3 more bullets, regular shot, your last act.
You said you wanted a recon. You said you wanted recon.
Yeah.
Ready?
The other skill here is cereal. Cereal is absolutely one of my favorites, and no, it's not the human kibble that a lot of kids and adults eat when they get up in the morning.
Aww.
This is cereal as in serial killer. And that's probably why it's called cereal. Because they don't want to put killer at the end of it. Well, guess what, dumbasses? You put kill zone in here and death from above. Deadeye. I'm sorry, this is a game where you kill aliens. Let's not pretend like serial killer wouldn't actually be what this is, if they were totally honest. So, what is serial killer? Serial killer is my favorite sniper skill. It's not necessarily the best one to get. I'm going to admit that hands down. But holy fuck is it good when it's good! This is the skill you take when you want to kill as many MFs in one turn as you can conceivably kill. Particularly in War of the Chosen, this can be very helpful. Especially if there are a lot of Advent units in front of you, and none of them have more health left than your sniper does in damage. Every time you kill an enemy, you are refunded your action. However, every time you kill an enemy with your rifle, your action is refunded, but your critical hit chance goes down. To me, this is basically Reaper mode, only better. And the reason why I say this is Reaper mode but better is because I have gotten 3, 4, 5 kills out of this in a single turn. Reaper mode will typically only ever get you 1 or 2 kills. This can get you way fucking more. Now, typically if you're fighting that many enemies at once, you might have made a really bad mistake. But Serial can allow you to completely negate that mistake if your sharpshooter is in the appropriate position and has the right weapon. Your limit is the amount of ammo in your magazine or the amount of auto-loader bonus reloads you get, and the amount of enemies that are in your face. This skill is not that helpful against the Lost, though. Because if you kill a Lost by shooting it, you're automatically refunded your action in order to fire again anyway. But Serial is extremely useful against groups of Advent, especially if the sharpshooter is picking them off from outside their actual sight range. It does have its limitations, though. It's not always the best skill to use, but I absolutely enjoy it. Troy, did you have anything to say about that?
Ariel's good. Just try not to. Just remember that you literally only need to kill one enemy for that to be worth using.
Yes.
Your enemies' lives are a limited resource. Expend your abilities to destroy them. Don't worry about efficiency. Kill them.
But sharpshooters tend to be one of the deadliest classes in the game. Their rifles deal obscene damage. Yeah, they require a teeny bit of setup, but they're not fucking bad units. They're not. I would argue they're A to S tier units easily. And a lot of the way I think people view them largely has to do with how they're balanced. And to some degree their playstyle. Alright. Grenadiers. This is the last of the basic classes. In that this is the last of the classes that the game will just hand you in XCOM 2 Vanilla. Every other class you get will either be from War of the Chosen, Shen's Last Gift, or you will have to research psionic operatives in the lab to get it. Grenadiers are effectively the heavy gunner from XCOM Enemy Unknown / Within. The heavy gunner used to basically carry around a light machine gun and fired a rocket launcher, obviously because XCOM is operating off of guerrilla tactics and no longer has the super advanced weaponry and equipment archetypes that they used to have. They have had to downgrade to Gatling guns and grenade launchers. I say downgrade in air quotes because Gatling guns are ideal for suppression, even more so than machine guns. And a grenade launcher, it requires more finesse than a rocket launcher, but you can still very easily destroy a lot of shit with a grenade. So, what sells the Grenadier? Well, the Grenadier basically has two main paths. Demolitions Expert, Heavy Gunner. I take a nasty mix of different abilities with this class. And we're going to go over them as we go. None of the skills in here are really bad. So, just because I favor one a bit like the other classes, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're playing the game wrong. In fact, you could still be playing it quite right. Let's just go over what's good, what's not, how you actually want to use these guys. First of all, these units use Gatling guns. The big problem with Gatling guns is Gatling guns have the weakest aim, I believe, out of all of the weapons, minus shotguns when they have to try and shoot at a distance. There are a few things that you would want to slap onto your Gatling guns. Stocks are absolutely one of the best things to slap on them due to their hit or miss accuracy.
Monsters. From the very beginning,
Scopes are not terrible due to the fact that they are not ideal for aims, so scopes fix some of their aim issues.
They're no different underneath.
Autoloaders are excellent, especially if you use things like saturation fire or hail of bullets a lot.
And not just that, but turning
advanced laser sights are not that bad because they'll give you some critical hit chance, and that can be good.
God knows. We should have known.
Expanded magazines are probably the best thing for this particular weapon type, because expanded magazines give these weapons way more ammunition to burn.
May I add something?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Early game. So until you probably get midway through using getting the mag rifle, The auto loader is one of the most favorable items for the Grenadier, and it's only because of the speed required on timed missions. That free reload is very important, but your very first Sergeant Grenadier can use the ability Suppression to counter Advent Stun Lancers.
Yes.
But that takes 2 ammo, and you only have 3. And the extended magazine, if you use that, you can only attack 2 or 3 times in a mission. But with the other item, what was it? The
auto loader.
Yeah, the other item, the auto loader. You have the opportunity to. I'm having a brain fart.
You
with
have
the
the
autoloader,
opportunity to reload for free and just continue to keep shooting.
Yeah,
and continue to keep moving.
In a mission where you've only got 8 turns, and in some missions, 6, you don't have time to reload that magazine. And if you need to suppress more than 1 time for the Advent Stun Lancers, because some things happen, that free reload is your ticket to being able to not get stuck having 1 bullet left and having to move and suppress. It means you can move and suppress, not reload and suppress while standing still, because most of the time you don't have the ability to do that.
Absolutely. If you're like me, though, and you ease up the difficulty of timed missions just because you like to have a little bit more freedom with the way you play, that doesn't matter quite as much, but auto-loaders are easily one of the best things, particularly early game when a lot of the attachments don't add that much to a weapon, because you'll be able to just reload, not lose your action point, and either keep moving or keep shooting. Which, you know, these guys carry grenade launchers. Grenade launchers have a few things that make them unique about them. The grenade launcher increases the AoE spread of grenades that are fired out of it. And it also increases the range at which a grenade can be fired. Other units can only throw their grenades with their hands so far. This unit gets a little bit better leeway with that. The next thing is blast padding versus shredder. I want to make this absolutely fucking clear. Blast padding is a great ability. It's probably one of the best abilities in the game. Getting an extra point of armor and 66% damage reduction from explosions, especially if you're playing on an Iron Man, is a very safe, useful ability for keeping your fucking Grenadiers alive. And I never take it.
I took it my first time playing. I never did it again after that.
And I never take it because Shredder. Your cannon attack shred armor. Do you want to know how many weapons in this game shred armor by default? 1. And it's on a DLC class. Which one? The Spark unit. Which is a unit that is effectively the XCOM 2 revival attempt of the mech trooper from XCOM Enemy Unknown / Within, or Enemy Within specifically. The mech trooper was broke as fuck. Spark, he's excellent fire support, but he's not really that good at anything else. And the big problem with his weapon is that it's less accurate than a Gatling gun, slightly, not massively, just slightly, but it is still less accurate, so it's a little bit less reliable. You can't attach upgrades to it, so it can't get more accurate, and it can't get more ammo, it can't get free reloads, and it can't get bonus crit chance. The Gatling cannon that this class uses cannot shred armor without this skill, but with this skill, this class becomes the only vanilla XCOM unit without any DLCs to be able to shred armor. You might wonder, How important is shredding armor? It's so important that I have literally never in my life picked up blast padding. And blast padding takes 2/3 of the damage off of an explosion attack and grants them a bonus plate of armor. That is a ridiculously useful defensive maneuver to have in your pocket. And I value shredding enemy armor more than that. Because Grenadiers are the only unit that can. In War of the Chosen, Reapers can also shred armor. But they have to get an upgrade to do that, and it's one of their mid to late upgrades, if I remember correctly. And their rifles don't do as much damage as most other weapons. We'll get to them later, but the reason why I am so adamant about Shredder being such a good skill is because this is basically the only class that gets that skill and gets that ability and can really fucking take advantage of it. And believe you me, you want them to be able to shred armor. Now, I've gone on a big spiel about that. Is it absolutely essential for you to have Shredder? Technically, no. Grenades and explosives also still shred armor. So do explosions of almost any kind. So, if you're really good at forcing enemies to have to take cover next to something that explodes and playing with the AI, you might be able to avoid Shredder.
Fuck all that shit. I'm taking Shredder.
But
this is one time where I'm going to say an ability is ass cheeks.
yeah,
Blast padding is ass cheeks, and not the good kind.
okay, I'm gonna let you go off on this tangent.
That's it. That's ass cheeks.
That's it.
It's fucking ass cheeks.
The
'Cause the only
ability.
time they blow your ass up with grenades is when you have another soldier standing right next to him, and that second soldier isn't even fucking protected.
No,
Is it? Yeah.
not unless it's another grenadier who also took blast padding. So blast padding is a really good skill for defensive use. Here's the problem. Most enemies will only ever drop an explosion on your ass if you are clustering your soldiers a little too tightly. Particularly after you start learning who's got a fucking grenade and who doesn't, so you will know when and where it is okay to cluster your troops. This is a bad skill. Now, when you get the training school, this can be a nice supplemental skill to pick up, just for the extra point of armor, because extra armor is never really bad to have. Okay, fine. Maybe that's justifiable then. Shredding enemy armor, though, becomes a major portent in the game, especially on higher difficulties. And I mean especially, because enemies get extra armor, more enemies get armor, and a lot of the bosses really start to need to have that armor shredded. So, blast padding is a good skill in fucking print. It's a shit skill when compared to Shredder. And the worst part about blast padding is I don't think there's a single skill on this list that I would trade for blast padding. Now, demolition. Unleash a volley of bullets at your target's cover, significantly damaging or destroying it. Deals no damage to your target. This is really, really good for exposing particularly problematic enemies that like to hide behind cover and keep themselves at range and out of your distance. And I'll be fucking real, just like blast padding, I have never taken demolition. Troy, you will probably have a different opinion on that.
I was letting you really talk.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bringing 2 Cadians and 2 Spartans on this mission.
The reason why I don't ever take demolition is because suppression pins down a target, imposes a 50-point aim penalty on it, and if the unit tries to move, they are subject to an automatic Overwatch reaction shot. Suppression can stop a lot of the most dangerous enemies to have opening fire on you from having a good chance to do so. It can also make it dangerous for that enemy to try to escape that suppression, which is also good.
Head?
And that's kind of what you need to consider. For me, tactically, suppression is better. The other reason why I don't take demolition is because the grenade launcher on this unit exists, and they can use it without demolition. And grenades not only destroy the cover of the unit 99.9% of the time, they also damage the unit hiding behind it. And they can do the same thing to a good portion of the environment around that soldier, and if that soldier has a squad that is somewhat clustered near it, which happens a fair bit in this game, grenades will also blow the fucking squad mates up. That is why I never take demolition. Go ahead, Troy.
Okay, so these Reapers are really good at setting up Overwatch zones.
They're really good for a lot more than that.
Yeah, I'm just going based off this opening cutscene for this mission, which I gotta say I really like.
Yes. Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that demolition purpose is to save your grenade. There's a lot of times where you may, like when you first start out with XCOM, your bread and butter, every single enemy, grenade that bitch and then shoot him.
Yep.
Like every single enemy is
and
grenade.
that can very easily become a trap if you're not careful, because that means you will be a little too liberal with your resources.
Right, because you only got 2 of them, but... Oh, go ahead. You had something on.
Okay, so Reapers are really good at stealth.
Reapers are the best stealth unit in the game.
Guessing they are really
hands
good at
fucking
sharp
down.
shooters.
Reapers are the best stealth unit in the game. That's not arguable. That is not debatable. That is a fucking fact.
Yeah. Unless you use a grenadier for stealth.
Shut the fuck up.
Okay, what the hell is this glowing ass tumor in the middle of the street?
I'll let the game explain that. But yeah,
nasty.
Yeah. So Troy is right. Grenades are very limited, and that's actually one of the main reasons to advocate for demolition, because it's a nice way to spend ammo to do that, which is way more renewable than grenades.
I just realized we're not concealed for the start of the mission.
I just feel like suppression is way more valuable.
Yes, suppression is a hard counter to specifically Advent Stun Lancers. However, you only get 2 grenades, which that can be a lot, especially if you manage to grenade 2 enemies out of cover every time you do it.
Yeah.
But for the sake of resource preservation and also beginners having something that can destroy cover that's not specifically a grenade, that's where a big portion of its value comes in, is that you can destroy cover with bullets, and it's something that can happen by accident. Sometimes doesn't always happen.
So I'm guessing Reapers are primarily sharpshooters?
Sharpshooter lights.
I would call them more like a rookie with a rifle, I guess.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of a better way to put it. I would call them light sharpshooters, LITE.
An XCOM unit kills a lost unit with a standard attack.
The problem with Reapers, I don't want to have to explain this class this early, but you need the intel. The problem with Reapers is that their sniper rifles don't hit nearly as hard, and they don't get squad sight until they hit colonel rank. Predominantly what you will be doing with a Reaper is using its shadow mode to scout an area so that you will know where the enemies are, and you will know how to get advantageous positions against them, and you will use that battle data accordingly. Or you will use its explosives that it carries to help ease the burden on the rest of your units.
I'm guessing I don't want to take cover next to that glowing tumor, do I?
You can. It actually is just a doodad as far as the environment is concerned. It's not going to fuck you or anything.
She killed all 3 of those lost units, so...
Yeah, they're not useless in combat, but a lot of their combat abilities don't come in that are really good until about mid to late in their development cycle. Predominantly what you want to use that class for is scouting, intel collection, and ambush preparation.
So killing lost grants extra AP. Good to know.
Yes and no. But demolition is a nice way to not abuse your resource of grenades. And the other thing is that until you hit Colonel rank, you don't really get another ability that allows you to destroy cover using bullets. So that's another way to try to advocate for demolition. I never take it because suppression is an extremely good counter for stun lancers, but it's also just nifty to use to weaken soldiers and officers trying to shoot at you when you don't really have a better option to stop them.
Yeah, demolition is just... demolition is also good because when you run out of grenades, you actually have an option.
Yes. Next is heavy ordnance and hollow targeting. Heavy ordnance is one of the best skills in the game. It doubles your grenades. And when you get tactical rigging on your tier 2 armor, that means your grenadier doesn't have 2 grenades, they have 4 grenades. Here's the problem with heavy ordnance. It's competing with hollow targeting. And hollow targeting is one of the best skills in the game. Hands down. Hollow targeting, basically when you directed fire at an enemy, when you're not using something like chain shot, hail of bullets, or saturation fire, enables you to add a plus 15 aim bonus to on that target for that target getting shot. So it makes every other successive shot against a particular enemy you want dead easier, whether or not the target is actually hit. This triggers even if you miss. Now, I typically don't ever take heavy ordnance, but heavy ordnance has a lot of advocation because there's a lot of different types of grenades you can use this with to get fuck tons of super fucking tactical value. Flashbangs, EMP bombs, fucking firebomb grenades, acid grenades. There are a ton of different grenades. You can suddenly double up and then turn this unit into a jack of all blow your ass to shit. For all different kinds of tactical purposes. But hollow targeting is just so good because it stacks the odds a little bit more in the favor of your team. If you have to use bullets to bring a target down, or using bullets to bring a target down is a better option because you don't want to expend too many of your limited resources on certain, enemies over other potential problems that you know are in the area, hollow targeting is one of the best skills to do. Go ahead, Troy. I'm gonna go get my my chicken strips.
Okay. For the reason why you want heavy ordnance is, once again, because the enemy's lives are a limited resource, and there is an upgrade later called Salvo, where you're able to use a grenade for a single action. So you can grenade them and then shoot them in their face. This is what lets the Grenadier do a very, very intense amount of damage in a single turn if you let them get both their actions. So they can grenade and then shoot. And chain shot is something where you can shoot twice. So 3 attacks in one turn. You can only do that a limited number of times because you can have so many grenades. Heavy
ordnance. Does the
ordnance.
sharpshooter get an ability that lets him take a shot at literally every enemy that's within sight?
Yes, face off. That's a wonderful part. you are absolutely correct. Yeah, that is. But yeah, that's the deal. Is that you can do that, and you do need that burst damage. On I know I say this way too often, but on higher difficulties, when enemies have all of that extra HP, having that chance to expend a grenade and shoot them in their face with something like chain shot in one turn is means a lot.
Take this chance to reload.
Yeah. Like I said, there's a billion ways to use heavy ordnance, and it's not that heavy ordnance is ever the wrong choice. I just always take hollow targeting because it makes the rest of the squad more reliable. But
Looking forward to this meeting already.
This is just not a bad skill. Both of these are incredibly good skills, and trying to decide between them sucks. Which is why you can see one of the first skills that I picked up when I got the training center was heavy ordnance after I took hollow targeting. Because heavy ordnance is just good. Next we have volatile mix and chain shot.
Oh, holy shit! When I reskin this to a bolt, I reskin this rifle to a bolter. It actually also has the bolter's firing, like muzzle flash. It sounds.
Oh,
Wow.
that's awesome.
That is an amazing fucking mod. Holy shit.
Yeah, it required another mod that basically allows you to reskin weapons. But also, my character had a literal 67% chance to hit 4 targets. He hit all of them.
That's XCOM, baby.
That is XCOM, baby. That can't happen.
Sometimes you get really good rolls, and other times you get horribly violated.
Fox, if you want to see, if you want to hear a story about incredibly stupid bullshit, and Troy and I were both kind of flabbergasted by the time this happened to us. You remember, Troy, near the end of one of my missions, I fired on like 4 45% chance shots in a row, and I hit every single one of them.
I told you not to ever fucking complain again if you get shot in your face with a low percentage
I
chance.
really didn't have the right to bitch after that. So, volatile mix. Grenades deal an additional 2 damage. Chain shot. Take a shot with an aim penalty of 15%. If you hit the target, take another shot on the target automatically. This is literally the rapid fire of the Ranger / Assault classes from XCOM 2 and XCOM Enemy Unknown / Within, and renamed and skinned for this class, because it does exactly the same thing. Let me make this clear. Whether you take hollow targeting or not, chain shot is an incredibly good ability. Particularly if you take Shredder, you will shred the living fuck out of the armor of your enemy if both shots hit, on top of doing a shitload of damage.
Huh. I thought this was a meeting point, but it looks like we were just escorting her to the Sky Ranger.
And in a lot of cases, chain shot can be really good for fucking up sectopods, fucking up alien rulers, fucking up enemies that have armor, fucking up Andromedons, which take a lot of goddamn resources to kill. I hate Andromedons.
Angry armored noises, basically.
Yeah. I like virtually any enemy that is durable and difficult to deal with. If you can get chain shot to have reasonably reliable aim before you fire, chain shot can either turn it inside out or fuck it up so badly that it is probably going to start crying for mama. Chain shot is not a bad skill, and I rarely take it. Not because it's bad, but because I rely on my grenades a fair bit, and this makes my grenades even more murder. Because it adds 2 extra damage to the grenades, they deal more damage, they fuck up the enemy more. Honestly, looking at what this gives you versus what this gives you, I think it's definitely arguable that I kind of make the wrong choice here when I take volatile mix over chain shot. Troy,
Yeah,
what are your
chain
favorite
shot.
abilities?
Chain shot is very important on the Grenadier, and I take it almost every single time. Purely due to the fact of the demand for damage. It's a skill that brings home the bacon. Like, what
Mm-hmm.
more can be said? You fire 2 shots, and if you can do stuff like hollow target them with the other guy, the other Grenadier, or if you
Skirmisher can fire their bullpup and move in any order on their turn, or they can even shoot twice on their turn if desired. The grapple adds to their versatility, allowing the skirmisher to traverse the battlefield and get an advantageous position.
yes, whatever he said, yeah.
He was reading the intro to a skirmisher.
Oh, the tutorial.
The Advent troopers who broke free.
They broke the mind control.
They're similar to the what were they called? Awakened or liberated Geth?
No, they're not. Not at all, because the original Geth were never controlled by the old machines. The Reapers. They asked the Reapers to give them the future and worship them as gods, never realizing the Reapers fully intended to assimilate their dumb asses as well. They're not like them at all.
Oh.
The Advent were humans that were genetically altered to become the Advent soldier aliens with alien DNA that they are. And then they were all implanted with a chip in the I think it's the back of their head that connects to their brain stem and acts as a receiver for a psionic signal that you were tied to, and those troopers then use that signal as a means of coordinating together and attacking, and that signal also is used to control them. When
lovely.
when the
Advent
chip,
Hellbringers. That's
when the
just
chip
what I
on
needed.
one of them failed, they were able to remove the chip fully, and then they started pulling the chips out of other soldiers so that they could free them, and that's how the Skirmisher faction was born. They're not
I really
really
hope these
they're not
trucks
really
aren't
like
still
the Geth at
capable
all.
of exploding.
But yeah, chain shot is just an amazing skill for damage, especially if you combine their Gatling cannons with an ammo type. Even if it's just an ammo type that gives you extra aim, because it makes you more likely to hit the target with both shots. It's an incredibly good ability. I take Volatile Mix because your grenades can crit, and they also deal more damage over an AoE.
What is? Use the grapple to pull a humanoid target to you and to deliver a ripjack strike.
Next is Salvo and Hail of Bullets, and I'll tell you now, neither of these are bad skills. How much you get out of each one kind of depends on how you use your grenadiers. Salvo, launching, throwing grenades, or using heavy weapons with your first action
shit!
no longer ends your turn. Hail of Bullets. Unleash a hail of bullets guaranteed to hit the target, but uses a lot of ammunition. More often than not, I tend to take Hail of Bullets.
Oh, the glowing tumors explode. Good to know. Oh, fuck.
With Salvo enables you to be able to fire a grenade or shoot your gun in your first action, and then move again. This is incredibly useful because if you need to shoot an enemy twice and this is on cooldown or you didn't take it, you can. If you need to fire a grenade and shoot a target, you can do it.
Yeah,
If you,
grenade them and then chain shot is like,
you can do that too.
Like an Andromedon that's sitting inside of full cover. That's probably the only thing that can kill them.
Yeah. But Salvo is an incredibly good skill that is really viable against a shitload of different enemies. It's especially viable against enemies like the Andromedons. Andromedons suck. Oh my god, I hate Andromedons.
Huh. Mux actually feels regret for having to kill Advent troopers.
They're his own fucking people, and they're not fighting you of their own free will.
Fair point. Also, shit, that one grenade is already.
If he
dealt some
didn't
pretty
feel
nasty
regret
damage.
for everyone he stabbed in the face, I would think he was a psychopath. Jury's still out on whether or not he's a psycho, by the way. Because I know how he fights. Hail of Bullets is a really good skill when you need to guarantee damage and you don't want to spend a grenade to do it. Particularly if enemies are hiding in cover. This is a really good skill to force hollow targeting. Actually, it doesn't force hollow targeting, never mind. This is a really good skill to force a lot of damage on an enemy that's in a particularly stubborn location, and you don't really have the ability to flank, but you still want to be able to kill them, or at least deal significant damage. This does that damage. This can get that kill. This can help you guarantee those shots. And that's why I really like Hail of Bullets. Salvo has a lot of utility, particularly with some other skills on this list. Hail of Bullets is just good by itself for being able to just damage an enemy that is in a frustrating position that you would otherwise have a really hard time hitting.
Okay, that grapple launcher is putting in work.
Yeah, with a skirmisher, if you're not using the grapnel at least a little bit, you're playing him wrong. And that's not even my opinion, that's a fact. That is literally how that class is designed.
Shit.
Okay, Rupture. Deals a shot that deals critical damage and ensures the target takes 3 bonus damage from all attacks in the future. Saturation Fire. Unleash a wide spread of heavy amounts of ammunition into a wide area. The cover of those enemies
So that entire
can also
street's now
be
covered in
damaged or
fire.
destroyed when this is activated. Uses a lot of ammo. Rupture is an amazing skill. It is an amazing, amazing skill for really fucking up an enemy that you need to die. And I never take it because Saturation Fire allows me to soak an entire area in gunfire, blow away enemy cover without using grenades, and then expose everybody who lives through it to immediate massive amounts of get flanked and get shot, bro. That is a lot of how I kind of handle these final tiers of upgrades. But
Alright, so
Rupture,
we want to get the high
Rupture
ground
is
to
just
deal with
fucking
the
great
pressures.
for blowing people away that absolutely you want dead with extremely massive damage. In addition, if the target that you hit with this survives, they're not gonna live very long when other units start opening fire on it. Troy, what's your take here?
Saturation Fire is really good. It's only a chance to destroy cover, not like Demolition. It's a greedier area of effect kind of thing, but I use Rupture specifically against the heaviest unit that there are, and that is Sectopods and Avatars. And that Rupture, like I said, it's a sacrifice that I specifically picked to kill those specific enemies. Rupture also helps against fucking Andromedon and Archons.
And Sectopods.
Yeah, Andromedons, Archons, Sectopods, and, well, the Avatar itself. That Rupture is... The only thing that's probably going to live long enough for the Rupture to have value is the Avatar. Especially
Yeah.
if it heals.
Saturation Fire, you say it's just a chance to destroy cover. I think that chance increases puristically as the weapon tier increases, because once I started hitting plasma tier weaponry, cover pretty much always started getting demolished every time I've used this after.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's pretty much it for the Grenadier. Next is the Psi Operative we're going to talk about here. Psi Operatives are the most difficult units in the entire game to get going, I would argue. And that's because you actively
You saw
have
the
to
same
invest a
things I did
shitload
in
of
that
resources
facility.
into their
So now you should understand why I've kept my people away from their cities all this time.
actual
The
development.
aliens offered up
Just
miracle
to be able to
cures,
unlock the
and they
ability
weren't
to
lying.
train one of them.
Death does cure.
You have to
all
research
ailments.
multiple things in order to be able to unlock the ability to build a psi lab, which you then have to construct in order to have the ability to actually get a psionic trooper. In terms of their weaponry, their secondary item is a psi amp. It says secondary, that's, in my opinion, that's somewhat misleading because they really come to rely on this fucking thing. Their primary weapon is a standard plasma rifle. In terms of the armor suits that they can get, Warden armor isn't bad. Wraith armor isn't bad. The war suits aren't bad either. I favor the serpent armor just because this armor is awesome. However, I acknowledge that no armor really gives them a psi bonus, and the psi bonus is pretty much the only thing you really care about. Upgrading the will to a unit will increase its psionic rating. The more willpower they have, the stronger their psionic attacks get. Their plasma rifle starts out very useful after they have initially been trained. This is because until they develop their skills, they kind of need this weapon to be able to provide fire support for the rest of the squad. Problem. As they develop and unlock more and more of their skills, their rifle becomes less and less important. It never stops being important, but it becomes less and less particularly powerful. You will notice that this guy has every single skill, modifier, and ability that you can get in this tree. I did not use a mod to achieve this. This is actually how they work. So what you do in order to train a psi operative, you need to build a psionics lab. Then you need to have a rookie class soldier that has not been trained yet. You will put them in the first and likely only slot you will have for quite a while. You can upgrade this to have 2 slots. You can then put an engineer here to cut their training time in half to unlock their psionic powers. You can then keep the engineer in here if you want to cut in half the time it takes for them to train in learning a new psionic power. Because psi troopers do not gain experience points from killing enemies in order to rank up and learn new skills. Psionic troopers train in one of 3 randomly chosen abilities from this entire move pool, minus insanity. They all start with insanity. In order to be able to upgrade their rank, gain extra HP and stats, and gain new skills to make them useful. There's not really a bad skill in this entire list, by the way. Pretty much everything that they have you want. Insanity is a nice skill to start because it can inflict a wide variety of negative status ailments on an enemy.
Hey, Alice.
What?
May I add something about the skills?
Absolutely.
I would like to add something that, or it's my opinion, that if you're going to use psi operatives, if you use them early, I feel like insanity is very weak because their will is very, very low. So oftentimes your highest chances are on like regular advent troopers. It's around like 60%-ish or something like that. And in which case your regular tactic of just shooting them in the face works out better. Skills like fuse, where you can detonate a grenade on the enemy, can allow that psi operative to take the role of a grenadier, and its grenades can be very precise. You can also use the corpse's grenades or advent mech grenades. If your grenadiers are injured, they can blow up the enemies that usually have grenades and, serve as the armor shredding. And it's guaranteed. It doesn't miss, and it scales with what the enemy's grenade is, not your own, which, fuse is like one of the really strongest ones that you can use if you get really early Psi operatives. And I mean, you sacrifice everything, the whole fucking kitchen sink to get them. Fuse is, that's what you want.
Yeah. One of the main reasons why this is a class that a lot of people, I think, just kind of throw into the bargain bin of whether or not it's good is the sheer amount of investment in XCOM 2 vanilla that it takes to get these guys going. Typically, they are only starting to hit their mid-tier to apex tier around the time the game is ready to end. Especially if you're playing well. You kind of have to drag the game out to get a max rank Psi operative. Now, Insanity is a good skill initially just to have the opportunity to fuck with people. I would argue that Troy is entirely correct that initially this is a very weak ability. Because until your Psi operative builds up their willpower, builds up their stats, and grows into something stronger, they aren't really going to be able to do that much with this.
So is there a chance of this meeting going wrong, or what?
Just watch. I don't want to spoil the surprise. You'll see. The biggest issue that I have with this skill is that early game it's unreliable. And it's unreliable for the exact reasons that Troy described. A weak-willed unit, which your unit will be weak in will if it's low in rank, is not going to be able to overpower an enemy's will on a reliable basis. This is actually why the plasma rifle, the assault rifle they carry, is such a good item to have for this class until it gets off the ground. And that's because it gives it a fairly reliable way to consistently support the team in damage until it gains the ability to support them with other skills. And I'm going to go down the list here, but Troy mentioned Fuse. He's not underselling the value of this skill, and he's not overselling it. Fuse is a fucking amazing skill, and we'll get to my feelings on it in detail here in just a second. Inspire. Squad mates must be within Psi operative sight radius, but line of sight specifically is not required.
Oh!
Grants a bonus action immediately to nearby squad mate. This allows you to, if the Psi operative does not have an answer to this, like say there's a problem that needs solving, an enemy that needs removing, or you need to hack something before you run out of time, and your specialist is right there but they're out of actions, use Inspire on the unit that will solve the problem. This can allow you to fix a problem with the Psi operative giving the extra action to whoever needs to act again in order for you to...
Okay, the meeting got interrupted.
...stop whatever problem you are having. Inspire is an amazingly good skill. Stasis Shield.
Alright, I'd like to add something about Inspire.
Absolutely.
Rangers. Firing 2 shots with rapid fire. That's a lot of damage. And that is an avatar killer. There is nothing in this game that will survive an inspired ranger firing their shotgun.
The
4 times.
Soldiers who took damage before did not get a chance to heal.
That's funny.
4 times. In their fucking face.
Yeah, and Inspire can allow you to do that. Like I said, Inspire has an amazing amount of tactical validity. The further in the game you are, the more powerful the units around the Psi operative are, the more value this has. Don't hesitate to use it if you think you need it either. This is a great fucking skill. And it's only got a 3-turn cooldown.
The Assassin.
Use it.
Goril Valinor, Night Queen.
Okay.
Weaknesses, Groundling, Adversary, Reapers. Takes increased damage from Reapers. Brutal attacks decrease the will of any soldiers in the sight. This just does not trigger Overwatch or reaction fire.
Yeah, she's immune to Overwatch, by the way, so get ready to start hunkering down or dying.
Roger that.
She's not impossible to deal with. I figured out how to deal with her pretty clinically. It's not that difficult. Stasis Shield. This is incredibly useful for offense, defense, support, whatever. You can use this on an enemy, you can use this on an ally, you can use this on anyone you think needs to not be attacked or not be able to attack or move for a round.
Correction on that too, though. You do specifically have to like research or not research, train an upgrade that allows you to use it on allies.
Oh, you're correct. Yes.
Yeah, but you can. You have to train for it.
Yeah, you have to train for that upgrade. The other reason why I feel like a lot of people really hate Psi Operatives, I mentioned that Psi Operatives train in their psiotic abilities in order to be able to learn and upgrade them. We're going to leave the armory for a second because we have to go over to the Psi Lab. Take the engineer out. The base amount of time is 10 days for them to learn how to be able to use psionics at all. So you research what it takes to unlock psionics, you research psionics, you build the Psi Lab, which is its own level of resource investment in both power and the resources necessary to build it, and the time it takes to build the fucking Psi Lab, which can be reduced by spending an engineer, but again, you're putting even more resources into it. And you still don't even have the damn soldier yet. Next, once you get the damn Psi Lab up and running, you will get a chance to rescue Cradle Mox later. In fact, that is specifically done on purpose.
The slag has. Choke on a grenade, cunt.
So, you also start out with the ability to only be able to spend time training one Psi operative per. To be able to train two at once, you have to invest even more resources. Power, alloys, Illyrium, supplies into upgrading this lab. Then in order to be able to get these guys going as fast as possible, you have to drop a fucking engineer in here, which cuts the training time in half. So instead of 10 days, it takes 5 days just to get an operative to learn how to do insanity. Then you have to spend 5 to 10 to 15 days, depending on whether or not you can afford to keep your engineer in here,
I will say this.
teaching your Psi operative new skills, which is incredibly fucking time consuming. And if the Psi operative gets wounded during battle, because you can use them while they're still training, and it doesn't negatively impact their training, but if they get wounded during battle, then they have to spend time in the infirmary healing before they can immediately go back to training. If they're tired, then they're just going to train while they're tired until they're no longer tired while they rest. So the exhaustion mechanic doesn't actually fuck with that. Go ahead, Troy.
When you know. The skills that they learn are completely random. So if you're training them because you specifically want to get like fuse or something like that, it might not happen. Which is why, like, when a Psi operative is trained, if they learn like insanity or something as their first skill, it doesn't work.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was getting at. They start out with insanity as their only real guarantee. The other major problem with a Psi operative is that you can only train them in one of 3 skills from a pool. That pool is randomly generated. And the only skill that gets changed out of that pool is the one you chose of the 3 to learn. So if the other skills in that pool are not the ones you want to learn now, then you will have to just settle for learning the only one of them you do want to learn now, and then hoping that the next skill that is unlocked is usable to the playstyle you're trying to push the Psi operative towards. To make matters worse, on top of all of this, this is a ridiculous amount of time investment. You will likely have gone over a month into the game's system, cycles, equipment, fighting, everything, investing resources and time in everything else, and you still won't even have a reliable fucking soldier to start. That isn't really a good look on these guys to get going. And
then after all of that, the skill that you start with and the skills that you get are completely random.
Yeah,
you could have a Psi operative
isn't that good. The skills that you get are a random potluck. I mean, it's easy to see why people really get discouraged with not caring that much about psi operatives. But I'm about to blow your goddamn minds on the sheer value this unit can have, because in my opinion, psi operatives are one of the most essential units to guarantee training at least one of. That you can beat the game without them, you absolutely can, before anybody assumes that I think you need this. I think that you absolutely want it, but you don't necessarily need
Max,
it, guys.
I want to like you, but your aim sucks.
The thing about, treat his bullpup rifle like a pseudo shotgun and you'll have better luck with him. The thing about these units is that while you get a random potluck of skills, none of them are totally useless. The biggest issue with them is that none of them are totally useful by themselves. You need a lot of different tactical output, and as Troy put in, some of the skills you need you have to research upgrades for in order to be able to get the most use out of them.
Oh no, that's what I mean is, like, all of the skills are useful. It's just if you want a specific one, that's when the problems start. You gotta
like it's not that none of it's like that. It's not like some of them are more useful than others, even though you could obviously that's still arguable.
Yeah, like stasis by itself is good, very good.
Yeah, stasis by itself is extremely good before it gets its upgrade that allows you to use it on allies, because you can just use it on a problem enemy that you need to not be moving and fighting you right now, and that enemy now is no longer a factor until after a turn has passed.
Does it work on the assassin?
It works on everything that you can cast it on. I don't know if it works on her, but I know it works on everything from a sectoid to a sectopod. Sectopods, Andromedons, Advent Troopers, Priests, Stun Lancers, the Advent Purifiers, the fucking Codexes, I think it even works on avatars. This skill is an I need you to not be a problem right now. And and that's at its most basic. And oh my god, can this skill...
an action, though, too.
Yeah, like it obviously costs an action, but...
Oh, no, I mean like one action. It only takes one.
Oh, yeah, it only takes one action, so it doesn't even auto-end your turn. Like, this is one of the most versatile abilities in the entire game for taking pressure off of you. And allowing you to then immediately double that pressure on the enemy after you've done this. Stasis is just awesome, and when you get the ability to also use it on allies, if you make a mistake like I sometimes have, you could cast Stasis Bubble on an ally, that ally can't move, but now they can't die either. The enemy can't just kill them. And you have a turn to be able to get up there, help that ally out of that bad situation, and save them. Which is extremely valuable. We'll talk about Soul Steel, but before we talk about Soul Steel, I have to talk about Soul Fire. Because Soul Fire is another skill that you can learn, and Soul Steel is a modifier for it. Soul Fire does 5 to 7 guaranteed damage to an enemy. That in and of itself is an incredibly useful skill because it's guaranteed damage. You don't have to aim, you don't have to take a chance. You're not rolling dice, you're just dealing damage. It's almost like this unit's version of Combat Protocol, except it has a cooldown rather than being only usable once per turn, or per mission, or twice per mission. Soul Steel modifies this so that when you hit an enemy, half of the damage done regenerates health in the Psi Operative. So if the Psi Operative is injured and you don't have a med kit available and you need to heal him, just use Soul Steel on an enemy and it will leech health into the unit. It may not be that much, but it can sometimes be just enough to keep him from getting one-shot by something. In addition to dealing guaranteed damage to an enemy that can either kill it or weaken it so that it can be easily killed by something else. But Soulfire is an amazing skill, and Soul Steel is a great modifier.
That's a lot of dudes.
The only issue with Soulfire is that it's not that powerful on its own, but it doesn't need to be if you play well. Next we get Solace and Sustain. Sustain is basically, if the Psi Operative would have died, they automatically activate a stasis bubble on themselves.
Opposite. Solus is the mental one.
Hold on. Sustain was what I tried to say. Sustain is basically if the Psi Operative would die, they activate a stasis bubble on themselves for one turn. This prevents them from being insta-killed and drops their health to 1 point. Instead of dying, they automatically heal them, or they automatically save themselves at critical HP and stop themselves from taking further damage. The Advent Priest in War of the Chosen often uses this skill as well. It can make them irritating to finish off. If you set them on fire, though, it negates that stasis skill, I believe. Solace is something else entirely. Solace is actually one of my absolute favorite skills in the entire game. It creates a 4-tile sphere around the Psi Operative of psionic bubble energy. All allies in that bubble cannot suffer from rupture, panic, disorientation, or mind control. If they are suffering from any one of those status ailments, and he walks over to them and gets them within his psionic bubble, it will automatically cleanse the status ailment and free them if they're mind controlled.
So I'm guessing a Reaper and Shadow can only be revealed if an enemy walks next to them or after they've used enough actions.
A Reaper
Yes.
will only be exposed from Shadow Mode if you step up against somebody, if you get too close to the Hunter Chosen, which he has a wide auto-detect radius even on Reapers. You should not be fighting him with Reapers anyway. That's not a good idea. He's basically anti-Reaper. Or if you fire a shot and you rolled bad on the RNG, or the enemy you shot didn't die. It's pretty much always your fault if you get a shadow-moded Reaper exposed. Like, it literally has to pretty much be your fault for them to get exposed. You have to have done something stupid. But Solace is literally one of the best defensive abilities in the game because it basically stops almost any kind of mental problem from being a problem with your soldiers. Your soldiers' will cannot break while they are inside the Solace bubble. And sectoids who love to mind spin your units literally will mind spin a unit that's in that bubble only for it to do nothing because that bubble makes that useless. Solace is absolutely a fucking major trump card, and I think that this is one of the things that kind of makes a Psi Operative damn near mandatory, if not outright mandatory, for the endgame. But obviously you can beat the game without using it. Schism. Instantly do a small amount of damage of guaranteed damage. Schism is basically... it's a modifier to Insanity that improves Insanity success rates slightly, gives it a guaranteed 2 to 4 damage, and they take additional damage from all future attacks if it activates. Schism is kind of what can make Insanity actually good, but you need to make sure that your Psi Operative has upgraded well enough to have a high enough will stat for their Psi stat to be strong enough to actually put this to good use. Fortress. This is probably one of the most broken defensive skills in the game. Psi Operatives become immune to fire, poison, and acid. And they're not just immune. They can sit in a burning building and not take damage from the fire. They can walk through an acid pool and not take damage from the acid. They can have a car blow up right next to them and not take damage. They can walk through a port. They don't. They don't actually take damage. Look here, it even says it.
Oh.
They're immune to fire, poison, acid, and explosive damage.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And they can walk through a cloud of poison and not take any damage from the poison. They cannot have poison inflicted on them. They cannot have burning inflicted on them. They cannot have the acid debuff applied to them. This basically makes them immune to any form of absolutely irritating DOT that every other trooper in the game has to put up with. This literally makes them a really good counter for Andromedons. But in particular, it basically makes them immune to the fucking purifiers. It can make them a nasty counter for Viper Poison too, because that doesn't work anymore. And a lot of enemies that abuse explosives, if you're stupid enough and you cluster your fucking units, he's not taking damage from the grenade. He's not taking damage from the rocket. Yeah.
Just says, fuck your damage.
He literally says, fuck your explosion. Fuck you, Torg, I'm immune to your bullshit. Next is Fuse. We're going to talk about a little bit... Troy, you talked a lot about Fuse. I'm going to talk a little bit about Fuse myself as well, just because I want to reinforce your points. Because you're completely correct. This is one of the absolute best skills in the game. And just like you said, Fuse scales with the grenades or explosives that you are using, that the enemy is using, when you activate this skill on them. It's basically, if an enemy has a grenade in their pocket or on their belt, you just pull the pin and the belt, and the grenade goes off in their face. If the enemy has a mortar built into a launcher on their back, like the Advent mechs, you just activated the fucking fuse and set it off inside the chamber. Why is this useful? First of all, it is incredibly funny. One of the funniest damn things you'll ever bear witness to is an enemy looking at his belt, and then all of a sudden the grenade blows up in his face. Not only does that give me amazing Wile E. Coyote flashbacks, but that is one of the funniest goddamn things I could ever picture happening to an enemy, and them surviving it like a fucking cartoon show. Because most enemies will live through this. Like, this will almost never kill a mid to late game enemy. But what it will do is 95 to 99.9.99999% of the time, it blows up all their cover.
It's also really funny to do in Cyberpunk.
This has no cooldown. This has no cost. And you just expose that enemy to every fucking rest of the squad, firing on them and killing them with very little risk. Fuse is an amazing, amazing skill. It's one of those skills, if it pops up in your potluck, use it. Take it. Make it work for you. Don't hesitate. Seriously. You won't regret it. You'll laugh your ass off all the way to the bank when you're murder hoboing everybody by blowing them up with their own fucking grenades. Mutons in particular are an enemy that loves to throw their grenades at the first opportunity. Advent mechs are another enemy that absolutely adore firing their fucking mortars at the very first opportunity. This can stop them from doing that, shred their armor, expose them to gunfire from every member of your squad, and just make you laugh in the process. Fuse is just a really good ability. Psionic Domination. This is another skill that is just one of the greatest skills in the game, hands down, absolutely period. The only downside to it is that early game it can be a little iffy. Because until your Psi Operative has picked up some speed and has maybe at least researched the Alien Amp to give them a Psi bonus, they won't really be able to reliably take over a lot of enemies. Now, counterpoint. Once they start to hit their stride, this becomes one of the most amazing ways to take over an enemy because it is a permanent control of an enemy until the fight ends. If the Psi Operative is killed, however, or leaves the battlefield, Psionic Domination will wear off.
If they don't have Solus, if they get disorientated or something, just like a sectoid, it'll wear off too.
Yeah, exactly. If they don't have Solus and they don't have Fortress, and they get disoriented or something like that, then yeah, they can lose that too.
Yeah, you can just use a mind shield.
New Alliance.
Mind shields do help a lot with shit like that. Yeah. Once you research Solus, mind shields become redundant for Psi Operatives, though.
Yeah, it's a nice hat though.
It is, and it's useful until they pick up Solus, and because they have a random potluck of skills to get, you might not get Solus right away, so that can actually be useful until they do get Solus.
I was talking about, style. It kind of helps them. Very comfortable to wear. It provides some really nice shade on sunny days.
Good shot.
On a more serious note, Psionic Domination is just value. It doesn't matter if you mind control a basic Advent Trooper or you mind control a more advanced Advent unit.
Okay. Mox got kidnapped. Also,
that's
Dragonova,
intentional. That's gonna
Dragonova,
show you something later.
Dragonova, you had a clear shot on her. What the hell?
Okay. So, Psionic Domination. It's only allowed to succeed once per mission.
Oh, sweet.
Anytime
I actually
you
managed
use
to...
it, though, it's basically a license to get a free extra unit for the rest of the mission. That can and will provide you all of the bonuses tied to that unit. Say you mind-controlled an Advent Trooper. You now have a disposable front line. Especially if you're, after concealment has been used up by most of your units, you now have a disposable front line that can scout for you. You mind-controlled a shield bearer. That shield bearer can give your entire squad a shield once, and then after it's done that, it is now a disposable frontline unit that has reinforced everybody with extra health. What, Fox?
I got 2 friggin' grenadiers out of that mission.
That can happen. In fact, I'm pretty sure something similar happened to me.
Yeah, the character with your name on it turned into a grenadier, and one other. I also got a sharpshooter and a ranger out of that mission.
I have something to add about domination.
Go ahead.
Go for the 100% chances. Don't sweat it about trying to get a big, powerful enemy unit. Just take whatever you have 100%. If it's an Advent Stun Lancer, that's it. Just take it. Because if you cast domination and it fails, you got nothing out of it. And I can't say this enough times. Your enemies' lives are a limited resource.
Yeah. So, don't get greedy with that skill. I have paid for that myself.
And what's more than that is, it's not just simply about being greedy with the skill and stuff. It's literally that if you don't take something the very first chance that you get, that's there's only so many fights in a mission, and then before you know it, you're gonna be at damn near the end of the mission, and you haven't dominated anything. the mission's almost over, and that's the worst value that you can get out of the ability. Not even fucking using it.
Yes.
Also, I don't know how I managed it, but my character, aside from the 2 VIPs, was the only one to not take any damage.
That's funny.
Your character
other
actually got
thing-
gravely wounded because the assassin chose to target him.
Yeah, that figures. The only other problem with psionic domination is because it can only succeed once per mission, a lot of people really do sleep on it. They're afraid that they won't get value out of that. Troy has made it a point. Troy has made it a point a million times. Don't be afraid. Your enemy's lives are a limited resource. There's really only 1 or 2 missions in the game, maybe 3 or 4 at most, where that is not actually true. And even in those situations, taking the first 100% chance that you can get is still not bad, because you will still get a unit out of it that you don't have to take care of. Especially in the defense missions, like say you have to defend yourself from a UFO that shoots you down, and your Psi Operative was sent out with your squad. Your Psi Operative can dominate one of the first enemies in one of the first waves. That is now immediate value you can turn to your assistance for the rest of the mission. If that unit dies, it doesn't matter. You're getting reinforcements from units out of that trooper bay, and they are helping you wipe everybody the fuck off the map. And that unit was a unit you didn't even need. It was the unit you got that helped you weaken the enemy, and the enemy wasted resources killing one of their own, not one of yours.
Yeah, I'd like to compare it to the Mimic Beacon. Just about every single enemy, no matter what it is, in the game can survive at least 2 attacks.
I'll be right back, gentlemen. I must need to use Perlet.
Yeah, it can. And the Mimic Beacon just, it's basically a free get out of losing a unit card. Well, Psionic Domination can achieve that, except unlike the Mimic Beacon, what you take over can and will support your efforts. If you treat it like an operator in your army and you use it appropriately, it will do work, and it will give value. If it dies, it dies. So what? It's not one of your units. The enemy killed one of their own. You're fine. The last 2 abilities are Void Rift and Null Lance. Void Rift is a skill that I have very mixed feelings about. On one hand, it deals explosive AoE damage. On the other hand, that's not a lot of damage that it actually deals in this game. It deals about 3 to 6 damage. That's guaranteed damage, and that's lovely because it's guaranteed damage. So by default, it has value no matter what it does. But if an organic enemy does not suffer insanity or disorientation or something like that, you basically just did minor damage in an AoE that isn't really going to stop you from probably getting shot in the face. It can, and again, like, it'll have value. Just plan for this to maybe not always kill what you use it on and inhibit. That's kind of my thoughts on Void Rift. I'm going to go over Null Lance very briefly, just because Null Lance is not a difficult ability to discuss. This ability is basically do 7 to 12 damage in a straight-ish line of enemies in order to be able to either guarantee a lot of damage or guarantee a kill. You do not need this to hit multiple enemies for it to have value. I have, and this is something that, Troy has really started teaching me, that I've really started to learn. It's nice to be efficient. It's absolutely nice. It's lovely to be efficient. It's not mandatory for you to be efficient.
Yep. Hurting them is the number one.
Yeah, sometimes just killing that one enemy makes all the difference in the world. So don't ever hesitate to use this if you know it will. Or if it has a chance, but will at least guarantee damage even if it doesn't kill the target. Because it might cripple that target enough that combat protocol will finish it off. or maybe Soulfire on another unit, or maybe that unit will be so fucked up that you can run up and blast them. You know, there's a lot of different.
I gotta go get my pants on real quick. There's an order coming in, and
Okay.
yes, I've been just sitting here this whole time with no pants on.
I'm glad the audience got to know that. Thank you. Null Lance is a very good ability to hit a single target or more targets and fuck them up the ass. It doles out a shitload of damage. Even if it deals minimum damage, 7 damage is a lot of damage. Do not hesitate to use this. Now, the other big benefit to a Psi Operative that I think a lot of people sleep on, you have to choose what order you learn these skills in from a random potluck. By the time a Psi Operative is done training, though, they get the whole fucking list. Plus whatever extra stuff you throw on them in their loadout. That means that Psi Operatives have a ridiculous amount of versatility, utility, and combat viability. They're one of the most flexible classes in the entire game. They're the only class in the game that you can get that can become immune to fire, poison, acid, and explosives.
I'm back, Alistair.
And they're also the only class in the game that you can use to completely negate mind control. As well as mental debilitation. So...
That ability, Void Rift?
Yeah.
I wanted to mention some things on that.
By all means, I figured you were going to have some extra insight on how best to take advantage of this ability. Because I like it, but I often find it to be a little underwhelming for me. Troy?
Okay, I had to take a second. Sorry. That ability, Void Rift, it's one about getting an area of effect attack. So there's a lot of times where late game, early game, and again low difficulty, it is favorable sometimes to like do the Overwatch shot, but later when you start getting so many abilities with soldiers, concealment doesn't have the same value that it used to.
It is the place of our birth.
Okay.
And the
So,
final march for those humans,
you
deceived
tend
by
to
the
stop
Elder's
doing
false
those Overwatch
promises.
shots
In
on
destroying
enemies,
it,
you know, the
we have
fancy
done this
Overwatch
world
shots.
a great
Right.
service.
You don't really do that anymore. So, the trade-off is that, how do I put it? You start your ambush with that from concealment, and that's when every time you will very consistently hit 3 enemies.
Okay.
So that's what it is. That's what makes you consistently hit like 3 enemies every time. And when you get that trigger of multiple stacks of insanity occurring, like, that's great. That's really great.
Okay.
So that's one of the best times to take advantage of it, is literally at that time.
Alright. Now, unfortunately, we kind of ran out of time again, just because there's a lot to each of these classes. There really is. So we will probably have to do one more stream where we get the rest of these classes done. But at this point, we will be discussing the Reaper next, the Templar, and the Skirmisher. I will probably do the Templar last and the Skirmisher second, because I basically got these classes in that order. And each of these classes, I feel like, is respected and appreciated and adored, but also disliked in certain ways in their own right. And none of these are bad classes. All of them are actually really good. But each one of them kind of has their own little balancers, I guess, in how they work that can make them a little difficult, I feel, for some people to understand, if that makes any sense. Anyway, that's kind of my take so far. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to do the last of the unit discussions and showcases, and then we'll be able to actually showcase all these units, because what I'm gonna do when we're done here is I'm gonna showcase all these units during attacks on Advent facilities until we're done, and then I will probably push myself to the end game so that I can start the stream through series that I want to do with Troy of XCOM Enemy Unknown / Within, so that he can actually bear witness to the awesomeness that is that particular game, because that game actually is pretty good. I don't think it's as good as XCOM 2. I actually think XCOM 2 is pretty damn good straight upgrade. But
I had fully expected to find that the aliens were conducting
I also
questionable
think that
experiments
XCOM
involving
Enemy
human
Unknown
captives
/ Within
at the black site
is a
we raided with the
worthwhile
help of
project,
local resistance operatives.
and a worthwhile game.
What we did find, something more reprehensible than I
So,
could have possibly imagined. A
have a good day,
facility
everybody.
solely
Troy, once again,
dedicated
thank
to
you
the
so much
rendering and
for
refinement of
coming along
human
with me on
genetic
this.
material on an
Let's talk
industrial
about these
scale.
units.
The
Thanks
aliens
for
have crossed the
inviting me,
boundaries of known
Alistair.
science. Consequences be
Absolutely,
damned.
and I look forward to, even after we're done with this, collabing with you in the future. Have a nice day, everybody. Good night, and sleep
Oh,
tight.
before you go, about that, you know, it might be fun if we played XCOM Chimera Squad or something like that.
Yeah, maybe, maybe. That might be worth doing. I feel like we should start with Enemy Unknown because you have the least experience with that, and then we'll probably do some sillies with XCOM Chimera Squad as we go. Have a nice